Oh, howdy all, grab yourself a drink. It is time for some PathOfExile discussion. Welcome to day 12, the final day of teaser season for patch 3.22 and the upcoming Trials of the Ancestors expansion. Today, we have a new unique ring, we have a couple of other little clarifications, but probably most importantly and most interestingly, we got all of the challenges. These are being data mined from the early Torrent. We'll have a very quick discussion of that later, but I want to start with the things that have been more officially announced. So we have Tawanuku's Timing. This is a unique ring that's being added that I don't think quite fits any existing build, nor do I think that its power level is high enough to force a new build to exist around it. It's not like it doesn't do anything strong, it's just that it's not anything that anyone's really looking to achieve at the moment. So this ring is going to provide you with a few basic stats: energy shield, spell damage, mana, chance to freeze, shock and ignite. But the real thing it does that's unique is it has the text, spells cause you to gain energy shield equal to their upfront cost every 5th time you pay it. Note that this does not specify that it has to be a mana cost. It can be a mana cost, it can be a life cost, it can be an energy shield cost. Whatever resource you are paying in order to cast your spell, you will gain energy shield equal to the amount of that resource that you expended every 5th time you pay the cost. So if you're casting a blessing that costs 625 mana, then you're going to pay 625 mana the first time, get nothing, 625 the second, 625 the third, 625 the fourth, and then on the 5th time, you're going to pay your 625 mana, but you're also going to be refunded with 625 energy shield. Now, one potential way you could use this is as a 20% mana cost reducer on something you're spamming if you're using Eldritch Battery, but I think that both the Unique Ring Praxis and other cost reduction options are probably better in that situation. What this ring needs in order to become good is two things to happen. The first one is that it needs big mana builds to be back in the meta. The second one is that it needs some of those big mana builds to be invested in energy shield. If both of these things happen simultaneously, then we will see this ring being used more in the future, but I don't see that happening during patch 3.22. Definitely remember this ring exists. It might be something that in 6 patches down the line ends up being really, really good. Second thing that came out today is the Torrent. If you are both a PC player and not using Steam, then you have the option of downloading the torrent of the main file, the GGPK file. This is something that is absolutely not worth your while doing if you are someone with a fast internet connection. But if you've got a very slow internet connection, this is an option. You probably know if this is useful to you. If it's not useful to you, then that's fine. Don't do anything with it. And next, there were 3 changes that were made in the patch notes, one of which I think is going to be a high impact one. Let's start with the smallest impact one, and that is that Hall of the Grandmasters is getting 21 new friends. So if you're one of the small number of people that loot this map and then go and run it and then complain about how rippy the monsters in it are, then you'll have a few new monsters in there to fight, some of which are probably going to be absolute wrecking balls. But the bigger piece of news here is the changes that are specific to the Chieftain Ascendancy. Ramako Sun's Light is the node that suppresses the fire resistance of nearby enemies. What it used to do, against damage over time only, and only when your character is stationary, it was setting the fire resistance of nearby enemies to 0. That was the original teased version. This has been changed. It is still 0 if you elect to play in Ruthless. If you're playing in the non-Ruthless version of the game, i.e. the base game, it is going to set them to -20. So this means that outside of Ruthless, Righteous Fire Chieftain just got 20% more damage than it was going to have already. I'm pretty happy with this because I was already going to play Chieftain Righteous Fire, and we just got an extra 20% damage on top of everything else. The main benefit to Ramako Sun's Light is not its ability to damage Pinnacle bosses. It's actually worse than alternatives there. You'd be better off with Wave of Conviction, Double Curse, and Scorch. The situation where it's better is against super tanky rares, where instead of having 50 points of fire resistance like the Maven has, they might have 150, they might have 170, they might even have 210. And this is particularly common when Eldritch Altars are involved and giving 160% increased fire resistance to monsters. Of course, this comes at a cost. You can't lower it below -20. And additionally, this is only while you are stationary or while you are using a teleport move skill. And there were 2 final pieces of news, one official, one unofficial. Let's start with the official one, and that is all of the options for 7th Gate. If you allocate the 7th Gate notable on the passive tree, on the Atlas passive tree, and you allocate all 6 of the other gates, this is what you're going to be able to select as Kirak mods: Abyss, Essence, Anarchy, Domination, Ambush, Breach, Torment, Beyond, Blight, Harbinger, Heist, Legion, Metamorph, Expedition, Delirium, Ritual, and Harvest. Probably the most impactful of these will be Harvest, Heist, Beyond, Essence, and Ambush, some of which are available otherwise, some of which are not. But in this league, I'm particularly interested in using this in conjunction with Heist. Even if you're not interested in running the Heist yourself, having a high stat list setup and allocating the 7th gate setup and using Heist on the map device is going to provide you with a very large amount of things that you can sell well to other players. So that's the last of the official information, but in unofficial information, all of the challenges for the Ancestor League have been data mined. Now it's worth noting that for some of these, it's not entirely clear what's required. For example, there's one that involves precision boss kills, but it doesn't specify in the challenge information that can be data mined whether this is something that requires monster level 85 or whether it's something that can be done in the non-Uber version of these bosses. That we're going to have to find out about. But we can already see enough to say that this is definitely going to be a harder set of challenges than 3.21. I don't think it's as hard as 3.18, but I do think it may be one of the nastier sets that we've had recently. Anyways, I'm going to explore those more in a live stream, but that's all we've got for today. May your Varlorbs have interesting results, and may you have an enjoyable league start.